There are two big things to think about when you read this poem. Who is the other, and where have we heard this story before? But first, what is the big idea? This poem has a similar theme to other Hughes poems. That is, an apex predator taking what it wants. And this time, however, the apex predator is us. And instead of using brute force, we use smiles, wiles, and self-justification. The difference from hawk roosting and jaguar is tone. In the first two poems, Hughes celebrated the savage nature of the predator. Here, he laments it. Verse 1 opens with the speaker reflecting on a past relationship. The other is introduced as she, and it soon becomes clear this was a person that the speaker had an intimate relationship with. The poem is told from the speaker's perspective, and the focus is not the love, the charm, the wit and wisdom of the other. Rather, it's the envy that the speaker felt for those charms. She had too much, in the opinion of the speaker. And now comes the guile. And so with a smile, you took some. This isn't the brute force of the hawk or the pike. This is the guile of mankind. This is human deception. Line 2 tells us, you took some of everything she had. And then we get this parallelism between she had and you had, and a contrast between everything and nothing. And I think it's there to accentuate the difference between the speaker and the other. The speaker repeats, you took some. The simple monosyllabic vocabulary is typical of Hughes, and its simplicity emphasizes this is a universal human behavior. Who hasn't taken something they're not entitled to just because they wanted it? Now, unless it's Jesus or Buddha watching this video, then that's all of us. The verse ends with another typical human trait. We didn't take it all because that would be too brazen. At first, it was just a little. I think the power of this poem comes from the simplicity with which Hughes describes a typical and yet reprehensible human trait. Lines 1 to 3 of verse 2 offer the sort of self-justification we use to rationalize our actions away. Hughes uses contrast again. She had so much that it makes him feel his lack. He describes it as a vacuum. Her abundance makes him feel empty. And then comes the ridiculous self-justification. You took your fill for nature's sake. It's like he's justifying his position with some highfalutin notions that are actually nonsense. Hughes offers another contrast in lines 3 to 6. Her great luck made you feel unlucky. Notice the speaker emphasizes their feelings, and this is important for two reasons. To begin with, feelings are the drivers of human actions, and secondly, the speaker attributes his feelings to her. Rather than taking responsibility for the way he feels, he plays the victim. You made me feel like this. And instead of earning his reward, he steals hers. The justification is it redressed the balance. The second half of verse 2 opens with a zinger. I can take your stuff, your joy, your smiles, your love, because you had some and I didn't, and that seemed only fair. Hughes uses this denial and the perverted reasoning that lies behind it. And the following simile is apt for a poet. The speaker feels like a crossed out page tossed into a basket. Again, rather than looking within and taking responsibility for their feelings, the speaker attributes them to her. Her ambition had the natural right to screw you up. And because of that, he allows himself a little touch of hatred. And notice the self-justification again. Previously, it was because nature abhors a vacuum, and now he's acting on behalf of the gods to correct that hubris. What's interesting here is when Hughes uses more sophisticated vocabulary, It's to have the speaker justify his actions, as if the speaker is rationalizing away their feelings. In verse 1, the speaker took just a little. In verse 3, he takes everything. Humans are often not satisfied until they have it all, and I think that's what Hughes is driving at here. The justification continues. You collected your compensation. Again, Hughes uses slightly more sophisticated vocabulary and alliteration as the speaker rationalizes his motives away. And in the fourth line of this verse, we see the effects of the action. The speaker opened the verse with the one with absolutely nothing, and now the other has absolutely nothing. The speaker has maneuvered, manipulated, and trapped the other, and then he repeats at the end, she had absolutely nothing, just to drive the point home. The second half continues, but with a different tone to hawk roosting and the jaguar. Too late you saw what had happened. It's almost as if the speaker didn't realize the full effects of the actions we're having until it was too late. His concern was for himself and not for the other. And I think Hughes really nails this point. We're often not aware of the full effects of our actions because we only see them from our point of view. And by the time we see the perspective of the other, it's too late. This is not a celebration as we had for the previous predators. This is a lament. He can't undo what he has done. And now their positions are reversed. She had too much in verse 1, and now the speaker has much too much. There's no satisfaction here in the victory. The final three lines suggest that this behavior is endemic. It looks to me as if the speaker has started a new relationship, but this time the roles are reversed. It's the other using her guile, her smile, to take some, at first, just a little. This is a bleak ending. It suggests this vampiric behavior, bleeding the other dry, is natural to humans. So, let's go back to the original questions. Who is the other? Well, it's obvious the other person is the speaker, the other is the person the speaker was in a relationship with at the start of the poem. His friend, his lover, the one whom he envied. The other, though, is also the person at the end of the poem, the one that is about to take from him. And thirdly, the other is the speaker's past self. He is no longer that person. The speaker has reflected on his previous behavior as though it were another. And finally, the other is us. This is our behavior. It's so common to humans, we are all guilty of it. And the second question, where have we heard this story before? Well, it's Cain and Abel. It's the story of envy. It's the first big story out of Eden because envy is so deeply rooted in human relationships. Cain's jealousy causes him to kill what he loves, Abel. Now in Genesis, the version is a little bit more bloody and a little bit more violent than Hughes's version, the other, but it's the same message. Jealousy will kill your relationship. Finally, if you enjoyed these insights, hit subscribe and check out my online video course, Hughes A-Star Insights, designed to get you an A-star in the exam. The link is in the video box below. So, ta-ta for now.